Welcome to Toot Your Own Horn Music Matters. I am today here with Sue Wills. Welcome, Sue.
Hey, how is everybody?
Yeah, we're doing great. I can't wait for you to share your story about how you chose your instrument and where it's taken you. Please do tell.
Well, I started playing piano in second grade because my mother got tired of me pounding on her piano. And by the time they wouldn't let you start an instrument in our school until you're in, I think, fifth grade. And so at that point in time, I needed braces. And I really wanted to play French horn. But they said that because I was going to have braces on my teeth, that it wasn't a viable option for me. So they suggested clarinet. So that's what I went with was clarinet. And I've always enjoyed the instrument. I started out on a cheap little plastic Vito horn, and I actually went all the way through high school with that horn, and I was practicing for solo ensemble contests, and I made I kept missing the same passage over and over again, and I took my arm back, and I guess my hand must have been a little sweaty, and the horn flew out of my hands and broke in half.
Oh,
And so it's about maybe 2 weeks before the contest, and I was faced with the going home and telling my parents, who were frugal people, that I had broken my horn and I needed a new clarinet. So at that point in time, Buffet had a student line called the Vet Schaefer, and that's what I ended up doing. And it's I've still got it, as a matter of fact. I've used it all the way up until just maybe 2 years ago when I decided I wanted to upgrade and I went to an older model R13
yeah.
Buffet.
So, how many years have you played the clarinet?
I'm 60. Maybe 55 or over 55 years.
And you've always played it.
No, I actually majored in music my first year in college. We worked so hard that between the end of the year and the start of the next school year, I didn't practice all summer long. I mean, I couldn't bring myself to pick up the instrument. I'd had some um, negative experiences with my instructor, and so I didn't pick the horn up. And then I got scared and I started freaking out. And one of my friends said, well, let's change to business and we're going to starve to death. And so I went ahead and changed my major to business and had a music minor. So between, I'd say probably I had a good 10 years in there that I did. So,
And what happened? How did you get back to it?
um, well, long story short, I divorced my first husband, and my second husband and I went on a weekend uh where I spoke to somebody that was in a symphonic group, and he said he didn't understand how I could stay away from music if I liked it that much because we were talking all this music. And my husband said, "Yeah, why aren't you in it?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. I just, I haven't found a group." So when I got back, I looked at community bands and a community band. And this is really funny because I sat next to an older gentleman. I started out back in the third section again just to get my lip back. And I looked at my music and I went home and I told my husband, I said, I think I've forgotten how to read music because what I'm playing isn't anything like what this man sitting next to me is playing. And it comes to find out that the guy didn't read music. I was playing it right and he so not too long, it didn't take me too long to get back up where I was sitting in the first section, and then the gentleman that ran the group wanted to start a group that was of the better players in the area. We are really fortunate in this area. We've got a Coast Guard station, and Air Force, Army, and Navy, all within driving distance. I mean, bases. So we've got lots and lots of military band members that retire in this area. So we've got a lot of very fine musicians, and including the Army School of Music over in Norfolk.
Oh.
And they started a group with the better players in the area, and I was fortunate enough to be asked to join that. And that's been 27 years. That group's been active. So
What's it like to play in a group for 27 years? I bet you have a lot of friends.
they come and they go. I do have some really good friends, and I have some really. I mean, the clarinet section is tight, and a lot of us have only been there 2 or 3 years. The gentleman that's sitting solo chair right now has got a PhD in performance. I'm in awe of him. I mean, I listen to him and I'm like, wow, how can you make it sound so easy? I said, you must practice 5 hours a day. And he said, you'd be surprised. He says, I really don't. I went, oh, I wish I could sound like that and put in, somewhere along the line. I think some people just have more God given talent for it, but and some of the rest of us have to work a little harder.
Oh, I all like it the same, so it's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all good. So how has that group been? What kind of things does that group do, and how does it touch the community?
We started out and we just started to pick up more in this regard, which I'm proud of. They started out as a way where they would go to the high schools and ask the high school and directors if they had good musicians that they wanted to play a little higher caliber of music to come and play with us. And then at the end of the year, if they were going to go on into a music um, in college, they had scholarships. So we did that for a good long time, and then we got to the point where we broke and we had to pull the scholarships back for a couple of years, but we're giving them again now. They're not huge, but it's every little bit helps when you're going into college. So that's to me is important because you've got so many young. You got to keep the interest in the arts. It's so hard right now, I think, especially when sports are the main thing that everybody kind of puts all their emphasis in high school and middle school, and the performance aspects sometimes kind of fall to the wayside with the funding. So it's important to keep if you've got people that are interested, you need to keep them interested.
For sure. That's a really nice thing that you're doing. And it doesn't matter if they major in music or they minor or they just play. It just matters that they stay involved.
Right, right. And I'm also still in the group. I joined again back into the group that I originally started with the community band because in the summertime they play all summer long and this other group breaks at the end of the fall or spring season and I wanted to keep my lip up without doing scales and stuff because I shouldn't say this. I hate scales and stuff. I think more fun.
Awesome that you had a business degree and that something as simple as your husband nudging you got you back to doing it. Have you noticed or did you notice at the time a big difference in terms of how it made you feel or what it did for you to play again?
I think the thing that's most important to me when I go into a music setting with a group is I've always felt like that's where I belong, that it's family. Nobody looks at me and thinks I've got weird humor or I look a little odd or whatever. It's just we're all trying to make music and it makes such a difference. You're so accepted and it's important to have a niche where you feel like you can go and not be and not have people looking at you because you don't quite fit.
Mhm. Do you think that's a difference in music versus like some of the work environments that some people find themselves in, or do you think that's what music brings to the table in some ways?
Yes, I mean it's a place where you can really relax and let your stress go and just enjoy doing what you're doing, focus on what you're doing.
Yeah. And to your point, you don't have to be very good at it to get back at it. You could have done it 20 or 30 years ago and taken 10 years off and come back around and work start in the third section and work your way back into it. It's not doesn't require a tremendous amount of skill to get going again if you've touched it or it's been a part of your life at some point.
Yeah, and like, I don't know, I think there's a clarinet is a pretty common instrument, and the community band I'm in, a lot of times they have to quiet down the clarinet section because you're so many clarinets, so they're always going, "I know it says double forte, but you've gotta play it mezzo because there's too many of you." So, yeah. It's the clarinet band.
As it should be, in my opinion. It's all good. There should be a lot of clarinet players. It's a core part of the band without a doubt, for sure. What was your profession? What did you do for in your professional pursuits?
Uh, I ended up working for 34 years, the Newport News Police Department.
Oh,
The last 17 years of that, I was the planning coordinator for the department. So I think 17. So I started out inspecting taxi cabs and issuing concealed weapon permits and doing background investigations, that sort of thing. And then as different things came available for a non-sworn person, because I'm not an officer, I tried to move up. So, and
did you ever get the chance, or do many of the police force play a musical instrument? Does anybody do that there?
uh, they have a pipe and drum corps, and they wanted me to learn how to play the bagpipe, but I was, I'm like, I just don't know about that. I had at that point in time, I was pretty heavily involved with my German band, so had a lot of different things going, and I just didn't feel like I had the time to devote to learn how to play a bagpipe, which is supposed to be a pretty difficult instrument to pick up.
Hmm. So tell me about your German band.
The gentleman that was the director of the community band that started the um, Chesapeake Bay Wind Ensemble, which is the higher caliber group. Um, he had a German band and he needed a clarinet to play, and he asked me to play clarinet, and I played for him for approximately 8 or 9 years. And then he wanted to go out to breakfast, and I said, "Okay, well, we can do that." So we went out to breakfast, and he said, "I don't want to do this anymore. I want you to take all the equipment and I want you to run the band." And I went, "Oh." And I said, "Well," I said, I don't think I'm ready to just see it dissolve." So I said, "Yeah, I can try that." So I ran it for 5 years, and I did all the bookings, and I carted around all the equipment, and I set up all the gigs and the microphones and the speakers, and when people said the day before that they were had a conflict, I found substitute players and stuff like that. Had bounce. We had, oh God, one season we had bounced checks. Somebody had a wreck in the tunnel on the way to a gig. I mean, we had, everything that could go wrong that season went wrong. And I think I put one more year in it after that, and I said, "Okay, I'm sorry, I've got to let it go." I said, "Does anybody else in the group want to do it?" And nobody else wanted to take on the job, so I've still got all the equipment in my closet downstairs. So
Who did you play for? Though it's a wonderful thing to have that kind of band. Who did you play for? Who hired you?
anybody that wanted to have a German band, we did a lot of bookings ourselves. We played for the disabled American veterans. One of the chapter houses always had a party every year during October. That was a regular gig for us. Then the best one we had was Fort Lee, which is a culinary school for the Army. They had a huge airport or a big airplane hangar, and the band they hired couldn't come, and they called us last minute, and we went. And we had like 5,000 people in that airplane hangar. And my equipment couldn't handle the size of the thing. And he says, well, next year we'll hire the sound equipment. You just come and play. Oh, that was so much fun. We really enjoyed it. So that was probably my best one. I love that one. That was so much fun. They had a group that came down from Pennsylvania and did German dances. Um, some of them throwing axes and that sort of thing. But we were it was a lot of fun. I will say the more beer everybody in the audience drank, the better we.
Right, for sure. Did people dance? And was the kind of thing, or were they it was just social? Did they talk over you? What did they do when you played?
It depends on what we were playing. We did some things like the Schnee waltz. That's you stand up and do the wave, and we did the chicken dance. Of course, everybody gets up and does that. Then we had a something called the Paul Jones, which is a line dance, and everybody goes around and around. The Happy Wanderer is the song it's done to, and they would dance to that. Everybody would just kind of, I don't know, sing, dance, talk, whatever they wanted. We were good with it. We
Did your family and friends come to your events? Were you inviting them, or was it more like a musical gig, or how did that go?
But they can my husband was actually kind of my roadie. He got to the point where he would help me with setting up the equipment and stuff, and my one of my trombone players. So yeah, it was important.
So do you have kids and a family?
No, I've got a stepson, but he's never been interested in music, sadly. So
It's a blessing, I'm sure, because I know that as long as I've been involved in music, people have always they remember you for it, they remember things you've done around it, they come and attend concerts, and it's always something you're associated with in some way.
yeah, I enjoy it a lot. It's kind of well, since I'm retired, I can put more time into practicing, and I enjoy that a lot. And buying new horns.
Well, it's an endless bucket of things you can spend money on, but what's most important is just that you have fun doing it and that it's something that um, you get enjoyment from and that you can share it with others.
I do. I think we have one of the things that I've found that I really like about music is the you've got this symbiotic relationship with the audience, and many times we sound better. The group sounds better as a whole than we sound individually, and it's just so cool. You know, you overcome and sound better with the group than you sound by yourself. I really like that a lot.
Yeah, and I think the social aspects of it really help to make music be better because when everybody gets along and is friendly and knows each other's families and there's that camaraderie that comes from community ensembles, you really just it's easy to play together then.
Yeah, it's I think the biggest challenge we have with any of the groups I'm playing with now is getting a big audience. So there's just so much to choose from that, and people don't always want to hear the old band music.
Yeah, it's definitely a challenging time for the industry, which is why I started this podcast because I want more people to relate and understand stories like yours because it's amazing that you worked for a police department for so long and yet you the whole most of it playing your clarinet, which is just amazing, right? Because so many people don't do anything outside of work or have very limited hobbies or activities, and that's a really good one because it definitely opens up your world.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Have you taken private lessons since that bad experience with that one guy that got you to get away from your major?
No, I have not. It was actually a woman, and no, I haven't. I've thought about it, but we've always had money going in a different directions than that. So,
Yeah,
uh,
private lessons aren't necessary. I just wondered if you had connected in that way with anyone else. It's not required. I think you can learn a lot from playing with others, and it sounds like you have learned a lot from playing with others.
yeah, yeah. I'm always up for some technique.
technique pointers.
Well, that's good. I will be happy to share anything I know with you, Sue, anytime. You can always rely upon me to help you, and I'm sure you have others too, but I'm always happy to help. If somebody was listening to this podcast and really just so excited about your story and thinking they should dust out that closet clarinet and think about putting it together and giving it a try, what would you tell them to do it?
I would say find something that you like, that you've been listening to, that you just want to see what it would sound like, and give it a shot. I mean, right now we're playing Victor's Tale in one group that I'm doing, and that's just so much fun. I remember when I saw that movie and I heard the clarinet part, and I thought, "Oh my God, I love this!" And it's so much fun to play it because I've always wanted to. So there's always something you can pick up and dust off. And there's so I mean, sheet music now, I mean, music now, it's all digital. You don't even have to have paper. You can just download it. It's you can I mean, I've got a friend of mine that wanted me to play in church with her, and she downloaded a bunch of duets, and they were free, and it was so simple. And they were simple duets. You could basically sight read them. And I mean, that kind of thing is available, man. You just got to try it. So,
100%. Well, you're a testament to that. And you not only tried it, you've tried it for your almost your entire life, except for a little sliver. It's really amazing. Congratulations for being such a lifelong clarinet player. And it's just an amazing story.